Hey, Friday. God, do you know what I love about Fridays? It's another day to build wins. Actually, we build wins all week, but it's just another day to get on and talk about building wins. That's what I love. So we're not going to waste a whole lot of time chatting. Hey, there's old Barry. Jumped on first. Look at him go. The winner, Barry Broxman. You get a glass of Coke when we're together again, or maybe a Mountain Dew. Anyway, hey, we're going to just jump right to my good friend Heidi Ellsworth very quickly and talk about some exciting stuff coming up in the next month. So don't go away and just come back in like 7 seconds. I'll still be here. I got to drink a Coke. Come on. Does it get any better?
Hello, Randy.
How are you?
I am so happy to be here.
Well, I'm happy to have you. You know, it's like it's exciting couple months coming up because well, next month we're going to get together in MetalCon, hang out, and
Yes.
then a few months later in Louisville and yeah, or Louisville or IRE, which I can't remember which one comes first, but we'll be when
There's so much going on.
Yeah, but it is fun. It's good stuff. Well, welcome to the show. So I was so excited to get to this that I was a little remiss in really saying who was coming on, I guess. But so Heidi, you're the CEO, the chief poobah of Roofers Coffee Shop and the relatively newly invented, I guess, metal coffee shop. So welcome. Howdy.
Thank you.
Hello. How are you?
I'm very good. You know, Randy, I just love your show. I love what you're doing, and I'm really you just made my day when you're like, come in and talk to us about Metal Coffee Shop because there's just digital is just exploding. Like this show and like everything out there digital, we're finding so much. So.
Yeah. No, you're more than welcome, and thank you for coming on. We can do this almost anytime you want. You just shout out.
Okay.
But you're the leader out there in what you do with bringing digital to the roofing industry. And as you and I think we've taught before, but if not, we will now. You know, our industry needs a little nudging into the world of digital, right? Because we're lagging behind a little bit on that. And I think it's great what you're doing. And I fell in love with the whole concept when you and I and some friends met up in Charlotte 2 years ago? No, it had to be longer than that. 3 years ago, probably.
Yeah.
No.
It was a long time ago.
I know. Using that word that I always say I'm going to stop using, but I haven't yet. I'm trying is pre-COVID, but we met up and had dinner some little side street down there, a bunch of us, and that's the first I really had a chance to really get a better clue as to what you guys are doing, and I love it. So well done.
Well, yeah. Well, and you know, our friends at Marco Industries are part of Roofers Coffee Shop. Love them. Love everything you guys do, and talk about building wins. I mean, they are just exploding too. But it's been great to be able to see the industry embrace more of digital. And I know we're not supposed to say that word, but honestly, COVID has helped that. It actually brought the whole industry to a whole new level. And when we look at just the amount of interaction that we're getting on our website, social media, e-news, podcasts, video, YouTube, it's just exploding in comparison. So, because people I think are not as scared of it, and they're realizing it's so much easier than print.
It is, and you know I use the term for it a lot. Is it's become a force multiplier for me. Because when this whole thing started back in the, we got dragged back into the C word, but the good thing with that, which there wasn't much, but the one good thing coming out of it was that we did learn what we can do and how much we can do to augment. And I use I got up on my hashtag hybrid road warrior Randy, right? That's something I live. That's just not a name that sounded cool. It really probably hits more than anything else I do because I was able to learn that going from the old school, kissing babies and hugging and Dr. Peppers and burgers at night. That's my code word. The burger's the cold word, not Dr.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, but then I, when this all hit, I couldn't go anywhere, right? And I dove into this whole virtual thing and loved it.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that we found is and interesting what you think of this, because there became two camps for a while. There's I'm going to wait and go back to the old way. I'm just going to wait. It'll come back. It'll all go back the old way. And then there was the other camp that we're never going back, ever.
Right.
I had people that would actually say, we'll never get on an airplane again. We'll never drive to see a customer again. And both of those sounded wrong to me, right?
Right.
Thus the hybrid.
Yeah.
Sooner or later I started going, okay, somewhere there's a mix, right? And I think that's what you're doing because, and that's a good segue into like the shows coming up, like MetalCon next month.
Yeah.
You do you're virtual. That's what you guys do, digital.
We do it. We everything we do is digital or virtual, except for attend trade shows, and that's always in person.
Yep.
But we don't put on any our Roofers Coffee Shop in-person events. We just support the associations.
Mm-hmm.
We support all the shows that are out there, and then we don't have anything in print. It's all digital. So it's really made a difference on how people consume and get their information. So we have an initiative, we call it Read, Listen, Watch, because we've really found that some people want to read it, some people want to listen to it through podcasts, and some people want to watch it, like right now on video. And by offering all three formats, you're really starting to capture the whole audience that way. And so we love to go to the shows. For MetalCon, we're actually taking our sound stage there. So we will be, because we know there's still people who can't travel or who can't get to the shows. And so we have our sound stage where we broadcast live on YouTube throughout the entire show. So we do live coffee conversations, which is an hour-long panel discussion. We have interviews. Randy, you're going to be on there. We're going to interview you, and it'll be live. So anybody who's watching this, be sure to subscribe to YouTube so you don't miss.
Yes, because I'm going to have at least 5 minutes of brilliance, just so you know.
Yes. So, and they don't want to miss that. They want to get that notification.
Get there early.
I know. But, going back to your point about what people have been doing on saying, we're only going to do this, we're never getting on an airplane again, or we're just waiting to go back to the old way. I agree with you 100%. Yeah, I love that you have hybrid in there, because when I'm not traveling, I'm doing this all day. I'm still talking to people. I talk to people all day long. And then when you travel, you get that one-on-one thing. It is a total hybrid world out there right now. And anybody who's not doing that is really missing out on one portion or the other.
Yeah, so I agree. And the thing that you touched on a second ago, Heidi, is that you do go to these shows in person. So people that watch you every day and all the videos you do, you got stuff on every 12 seconds on social media someplace, and it's all good content. Yeah. But the beautiful thing is that when shows happen, like MetalCon coming up here next month, people can actually shake hands, give Heidi a hug, say, "Hey, how you doing?" And so that's that real hybrid part of that, right? It's really good stuff.
Yeah. And people who can't make it can actually watch so funny story, Randy, at the International Roofing Show last year, or actually this year in February, I got COVID. So showed up, I was there for 2 days, did a couple meetings, and then I was out for the rest of the week. So what I did is I watched everything from the soundstage. I watched my team, and I was able to watch all the interviews, and I was able to stay in touch with what was going on. And so it really shows that people who can't, for some reason, travel or can't get there, or they're conflicts, which there's a lot of events going right now. So there's a lot of conflicts. They can still see it. And I think that's really the hyper hybrid part is welcoming people who even can't be there in person, but being in person is always the best.
Exactly. And real quick thing, but I want Tim Lord and Mark Gaster, two good friends of mine. I just wanted to say, hey, thanks for jumping on.
Hi, Tim. Hi, Mark.
Yeah, Mark says, did you say digital? He says, sounds like a plan. Mark's a sales guru like us and does a lot of teaching and training and sales concept stuff, and a good friend of mine. Great guy, friend of Wes and I's. And Tim is, I was with Tim at his Boston Impressions. He's a graphic design company that's second to none out in well, I call it the greater Boston area. It's Nashua, if I get the word right, New Hampshire. So we tipped a Dr. Pepper or two about a month ago, and we was together. But thanks for jumping on, guys. But you mentioned IRE last year, and you got there and got COVID, right?
Yeah.
You may or may not remember this. You probably will as soon as I say it. But remember, you and I was going to be on the sound stage with you there.
Yes, you
were. I didn't go either because I got COVID before.
Yeah,
so neither of us went, because I remember calling you and saying, or sent you a messenger or whatever I did, and said, hey, I really apologize, but I don't I feel fine really, but I technically tested, so I probably shouldn't come. And
Yeah.
you go, well, I'm in my room. So, okay. So that was, but the beauty of that with the sound stage and what you're doing there is, like you said, you're bringing the world of Roofers Coffee Shop and now metal coffee shop to
Right.
everybody, whether they're there or not, which is a beautiful segue
Yes.
into metal coffee shop. What
What
in
is
I'm asking this like I don't know and I do know, but let's try this. I'm working on my professional image here. What in the world is metal coffee shop? How's that? That good?
Perfect. Perfect.
Perfect.
Well, you know what? I'm going to start for those who maybe weren't on when we talked last time on
Hmm.
buildingwins.live. But Roofers Coffee Shop is a digital community that has been around for 20 years. So we launched in 2002. Before Facebook, I mean, we were doing things that were really kind of before their time. It was my business partner, Vicki Sharples. So it kind of went through the, those 20 years. And then in 2015, I joined Roofers Coffee Shop. I helped launch it in 2002, but then I came back and joined full time in 2015. And we really saw that it really was time now. It had grown even bigger, and that this digital community was becoming more and more important. And so when I say digital community, there's a website that Wes is showing, there's our social media channels, there's e-news, our YouTube channel, which if you want to watch Randy, get on that, and our podcasts. So we started doing all these things digital for the roofing community, and it just exploded. We just have such a great community in roofing, and we love it. But we realized that there were other communities out there that we were involved in that needed this same type of ability to get to the website, to get to social media, all these different things that really focused in on what they were working on and as contractors in their businesses. And we really saw metal was a key one. So we're talking metal roofs, metal walls, metal buildings, gutters, sheet metal shops, metal forming, all of that. And so I started working with a number of people in the industry. And one of the really ones that wanted to push it out there was Sherwin-Williams. They were just such a great sponsor. And so they sponsor the site, Metal Coffee Shop. But we work with Metal Construction, so the Metal Construction Association, Metal Roofing Association, NRCA, National Roofing Contractors Association. They're all, as you can see there on the bottom, and MetalCon. We are partners with MetalCon, and they are huge supporters of this new site, Metal Coffee Shop. And we are huge supporters of their show. We like to go, and like I said, we'll have the sound stage there and do all of it. But contractors can come to either Roofers Coffee Shop, but now Metal Coffee Shop, and they can place classifieds looking for labor, selling tools, buying tools. They can go to our directory and find all these great companies that we've got some fun tool stuff, technologies, manufacturers, and then they can get tons of education. Podcasts, webinars, videos, ebooks, you name it. So it's just really a huge resource and helps them form even stronger communities.
Yeah, and I what I think is pretty cool is that Roofers Coffee Shop, like you said, has been so popular, but with metal, there's crossover between metal and the other side, but there's a lot of not crossover too, right? There's a lot of the metal seems to be in a lot of cases, especially in the metal roofing world. There's guys that are into roofing that do both, but there's a lot of metal roofers that just do metal, right? And I think it's brilliant to have this not secondary but additional place for them to go that they might go, yeah, I don't do asphalt and I don't do rubber roofs and I don't do spray on stuff. I don't do any of that stuff, so I don't really care. But now they've got a home, right? And I think
just want metal, right? And we're seeing a lot of the metal roofing contractors also diversifying to walls, siding, and they're definitely doing gutters. And so now they can really kind of see that whole building. I was just telling you before we got on here, we need to get their logo on the site, but we're bartered with NFBA. And so we'll be there to kind of look at that frame building and how that's happening. And it's been fun, Randy, because I have over 30 years in roofing, No, not over. Just under 30 years. Let's not say get too.
Let's not get too old here.
Yeah. So just under 30 years of roofing experience, and going to all the meetings with Metal Construction Association. I've learned so much. It's been, I come from the trades. My dad was a general contractor, but to be able to now kind of really get in and talk to people and learn more about insulated panels and about I love the machines, right? The metal forming machines. They're so fun.
Oh yeah. I never get tired. I'm in, well, next week on a road trip, I'll probably be in, I'd have to think about it, but I'll probably be in 10 metal roofing roll forming shops.
Yeah.
And it never gets old to hear that noise. I could recognize it anywhere. And I usually like to walk in and I go, whoa, hey, that's the sound of money.
Yeah. They're making money back there.
They're making money back there. I love that sound.
I do too. And I love bringing it all together. I mean, our classified ads, almost every week we have a new metal metal forming machine on there, or roll former, all kinds of different things, and tools. We're starting to get tools, which I just think. So we have Sheridan tools on there. We have John Stewart's and Sons, and with just, I don't know, it's just cool. I really like it.
Well, that is cool. Hey, Mark, my buddy Mark Gaster just said something about 3 choices. If Wes will pop that up there in a minute, because I wanted to touch on these. I think that's pretty interesting. We have 3 choices: face-to-face sales and marketing, telephone, and virtual. And he's spot on. Mark is a stud in all 3, but he's really loves to hold his phone up and say, you know what? You got to use this thing, right? Yeah. And I think that, like you said, when you're not out on the road or you're not doing a podcast or putting a video together, I'm sure you're on the phone a fair amount too. So it's a 3-pronged, 3-headed good beast, right?
Yeah, I don't think you can discount text.
Exactly.
I have really seen, where I'll have certain people I'm trying to get a hold of. I leave a message, I send them email, they just don't check that, and all of a sudden I send them a text and they're right there. So I think in this, especially sales, and I love sales, Randy. Right. I just love it. What I've learned too is, and it's always been this way, but there's just so many more choices now, but you have to understand how your customers want to communicate. And some just want to do text. I can't do that. I mean, I do it with them, but for me, I'm like, there's too many things in too many places, and Messenger, like you sent me something in Messenger. And so there's just all these different places. You kind of have to figure out what your customer likes the best.
Exactly. Well, and let's talk about one thing too, is you talk about virtual, the using video, not only on social media, not only doing shows like this, but I love to use video in text and in emails.
Yeah.
Now, do I do it on every single one? Of course not. But I'll do 2 or 3 a day at least. I love to like send out it could be nothing more other than, hey, it's Randy. How'd your son doing baseball last night? Or it could be, hey, here's a copy of a quote. It's on a PDF here for you, but here line 3 is the biggest item, right? I think it's a combination of, not many people do it.
Yeah.
And then it brings a whole new personal thing, because it's Randy talking to Heidi and telling you what I want to tell you. Not face to face, but it's closer you're going to get without being face to face, right?
Yeah. And I love Teams. I have to say, Teams is, because our whole company is virtual. So I'm in this office right now. I'm all by myself in Sisters, Oregon. Every once in a while I have some of our employees pop in or come in and work. Jessica works here with me sometime. But I mean, our Karen Edwards, who you've met, who's just spectacular, she lives in Pennsylvania. And I go on Teams and it's like walking down the hall and knocking on the door. It's that simple. And I think we meet with all of our customers, either Zoom or Teams. And I don't know, I think there's a lot of power in that, but it can't be all the time. Because it just
exactly. Well, and that's the thing. I do between Teams and Zoom, I don't know, on an average 7-8 a week, probably, or more.
Yeah.
And it's a great opportunity with a new customer that you haven't met yet. You talk about from our sales standpoint now, and guys on the road, and it takes, in today's world, way more money than it used to. I mean, everything's expensive, right?
Yeah.
Flights and cars and food and hotels and all that. But you can be face to face like this and chat, and you as the customer and I myself as the rep, we can figure out, do we have a connection, or is there a reason to go further before I waste an hour and a half of your time because you're a nice guy or lady and it's going to let me come in,
Right.
and maybe we got nothing to there's nothing here for us, right?
Right.
Maybe this just doesn't fit. Well, we can get all that out of the way first in a very more personal level. But at the end of the day, the other thing beyond that is that, let's say, Heidi, yes, you do want to buy my fasteners, right? That's great. When can we get together? But when I walk in the door, you're going to jump and go, Randy, because
Yeah.
we actually recognize each other. Huge difference, right?
I
And
was
I
just
love
thinking
that.
that because I've had that happen. And so many, once we got back on the road and we were going to all the trade shows and stuff, I'd walk up and I'd be talking to this person, big hug and everything like that. And then all of a sudden, both of us realized it was the first time we'd ever met in person. But
Hmm.
we've been on Teams and Zoom calls
Right.
monthly. And so it was like I already knew them. We already had that relationship built. And now all of a sudden it's like, oh, this is so great.
Yeah, it
So
is. It is.
yeah,
Mark just put up a good point. Again, Mark's on fire today, but he said a great point, Heidi. About what do your customers want? Communicate the way they want to communicate,
right.
right? And you're so right. And maybe take that even a step further when it comes to the use of social media, right? I just am tipping my toe into the water of TikTok now, right?
Yeah. So
For
are we.
years I said I will never do that. It's the stupidest thing ever, because in my mind I'm not dancing with goats,
Yeah.
and I'm not singing some stupid country song to my dog. I don't know. I just
Yeah.
envisioned what it is, right?
Right.
But I found out two things. One, I can do a business TikTok that's still TikTokish, if you will, but not stupid.
Right.
If and secondarily, and it goes along with what Mark's point, and Mark, thank you for that, because it really got me on a thought here, is you also have to live on social media where your customers live. And everybody in any age group, like you like it or not like it, TikTok's becoming pretty popular, right?
Yeah.
And the people, especially that are younger than all of us, that are going to be he's that 24-year-old right now, but he's going to be the 29-year-old that's in a management, purchasing, decision making place in 3-4 years.
Right.
When that time comes, I want him to have known me for 5 years. Oh, dude, you're that TikTok guy. I mean, I watch you every
Yeah.
day. He might never see me on LinkedIn though, right?
Yeah.
Because he may never go to LinkedIn, because he just may not. So,
Right. Yeah, and we found the same thing with YouTube. And that's really, and purchasing agents in particular tend to be younger. It's not always an entry level, but it
mm-hmm,
can be entry level coming in. And a lot of them know nothing about the roof, right? Or they don't know
right.
anything about the siding or the building or anything. And so they go to YouTube and say, how to, what is, and they're learning that way. So we knew we needed to be there. And
Yep,
TikTok's the same thing.
yep.
We're getting into that right now a lot.
Yes, it's I was saying it, I was experimenting with it, and so you guys are on TikTok too?
Yes.
I've got to
Yep.
follow you there because I
And
did not.
Instagram.
Okay, yep,
Yeah.
Instagram I do.
Yeah.
The TikTok I found. Let me ask you this question: do you do the exact same video that you would do on LinkedIn or Facebook? Do you do the same, or you do a TikTok-ish
Yeah.
video? Correct? Yeah.
Well, funny story. So we have a lot of Gen Zs who work in our company, and one of them is my daughter. Actually, both of our kids, Tim and I's kids, work in the business. So one's a millennial and one's a Gen Z. And we've hired a lot of Gen Zs and millennials. I love it. I love the energy.
Hmm.
I mean, the smart, the creative, and they challenge me. And so one of the big things that they've challenged me on is, I'm thinking you'll somewhat see what I'm talking about here, but I had the exact same impression of TikTok, right? I'm
Right.
like, we don't, and they're like, no, we have to do it because that's where all the young people are going. And even now everybody's going there because they're watching things. And they said, it can just be fun. Like, we're packing up for a trade show and we'll show them us packing up for a trade show. And I'm like, who in the heck wants to watch us pack up for a trade show? It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever.
Right.
And so we kind of found some middle grounds. I was like, we've done, I don't know if you've seen the trend on TikTok called So Satisfying. People follow it. It's so satisfying because it's so satisfying to watch this thing. It makes you feel good. So we've done roof cleaning as so
Wow.
satisfying. And
Wow.
it's done really well. We did, and so Megan, she makes our TikToks. They're totally different from everything else. We do a little bit with our customers on that, but we really focus more on Metal Coffee Shop or Roofers Coffee Shop, and showing what we're doing, what's happening, how we're working with the community, how we're working with our industry. And yeah, it's really going places. That, and the other one I was kind of like, Instagram. I know it's popular. I'm not wild about it, but the team really came back to me and showed me, hey, this is what we need to do. This is where we need to be. So you got to listen to the
do. Yeah. I've forced myself to not shy away from it. And speaking of, I'm not sure. I never get all these Gen things. So Shannon just jumped on here.
Yeah.
She's in mid-20s, I think. She's the social, or she's the marketing guru at MWI Components.
Oh,
and
awesome.
Another company that I've been blessed to rep for 2+ decades.
Yeah.
And she just does such an amazing job with all their social media. And she did a thing the other day, and she said she's heard of So Satisfying. She did a deal the other day, and Shannon, maybe type in what that was called, but it was, I did one of them with her, but it's where you're a 10, but you don't do this, you're an 8, but if you do this, now you're a 10 again. What is it, Shannon? She's not telling me yet, but anyway.
But yeah, the reels. You did the reels.
Yeah, but okay, it was the reels. Yeah, we did reels. So if they're only a 6, I said, well, like, what do they go to the National Frame Builder Show? Well, yes. Okay, well then they're a 10. Never saw that in my life. When she first called and explained to me, what are you talking about? Okay, no, that in my mind is like, okay, that's really stupid. But I learned one thing about Shannon. You talk about younger folks.
Yeah.
That is a 10, but they're a 10, but there you are, Shannon. But I've really learned so much from Shannon, because I wouldn't dive into some of these things in the past. Now, as she knows, I may regret this someday, but whatever you bring that y'all want to do and you need somebody to try it, I'm your guy. Yeah. And I may regret that. I hope she didn't hear that, but I have a feeling she did. But I don't think you can do too much of those things as long as you stay within some guidelines, right?
Well, anyway. And I think by listening to, this is the future, the next generation. I always think it's funny. I love that, Shannon. That's so funny. They better get educated. Yes.
That's it.
Go to Metal Coffee Shop. There you go.
Shannon, by the way, you will meet Heidi personally by me at NFBA.
And Shannon, check out Metal Coffee Shop. I would love to know your thoughts on it and what we can do there. So, but Randy, I'm sure you've sat in so many meetings too, where you have this group. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest, this group of old people in the room, and they're like, those young kids need to figure out what's going on. I'm like, nope, you need to figure out what's going on, because we're going to be in the old folks' home and they're running the world. Right. So if we want to be part of that, which I do, I love it. And I know you do, obviously. We have to listen, and the trending is moving so fast in social media and podcasting. And I just had my video team, which is Megan and Colin and a couple others, just tell me, they said, well, we're going to give you some lessons on how to use your phone to do better videos. So we're doing that next week when we're at Western States.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
Perfect.
Perfect. I'm ready.
Well, and the point you made is that, and I think it's a great point, because, and it's probably happened since time immemorial, as they say, that the older folks, and unfortunately, you and I and Wes are at the higher end of that, but it's, these young kids, they don't know nothing, and that's just, they need to catch up to. Well, at a certain age, we're living in their world, whether we like it or not. Right. We're living in.
That's where we're at right now.
Because they're going to be doing this. I want to do it forever. Yeah. But my forever is a lot less than their forever.
That's
right. So, if I want to live in this industry and live in this world, which I do, because I love what I do and do what I love, I say that all the time.
Yeah.
I better learn to live in their world. Right.
Yeah. And, and I think it's also, we always joke, because this next generation is very intuitive, right? So they come to a website, they know exactly where everything is. They know how to do the podcast. They know how to do the notifications. Everything's so intuitive. So I'm always, even on Metal Coffee Shop and Roofers Coffee Shop, as we are doing our design and we're looking at that user experience, UX, I always say, okay, I know you all get this. I know you intuitively know where to go and what to do. I said, so I want you to think about me. Can I do that? Because our audience we still have a lot of boomers and Gen Xers who are, we're still kicking really hard and we're making things happen. So I think it's important from a sales and marketing standpoint, just like we talked about earlier, know your customer. How do they want to communicate? But you also need to know that we have generational learning. We have generational ways of learning that are out there right now. So you really have to incorporate across the board.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And then I want to jump into the state of the industry in your mind. But I said in a couple of seminars in the past, and it was really interesting because they talked about we're in a point in time right now where there's up to 5 generations in some of these family-owned businesses.
Yeah.
You might have you got the older guy that's 89 years old, but he's still kind of around.
Yeah.
And then it works its way down to the young kid that's 20, but
right.
he's involved and he's going to be one of the leaders eventually, maybe sooner than you think.
Yeah.
And and the whole thing was very well done because all talked about each one of those generations we got to talk to differently and talk to in different places, because you think about it, there's a whole lot of people, and we just went through a week ago the 21st year remembrance of 9/11, right?
Right.
There's a lot of people that was like, yeah, I seen something about it, kind of. I mean, I know it happened. It was kind of bad.
Yeah, we lived it.
But we lived it, right? You and I and Wes and Mark, and we lived that day.
Yeah.
But see, they are not going to see that ever the same way we see it.
No.
Just like we know World War II was a bad thing.
Right.
But you and I and Wes,
yeah,
I can't associate the same way because I wasn't there, right? So I think that really comes into play when it talks about marketing and what we do social media wise and every aspect. But
and sales.
And sales, exactly.
What's important too, on the sales cycle, things are different to different generations. Although I also see that changing somewhat because I truly believe, so I would say I'm right on the border, but I go Gen X, right? I'm a Gen Xer. And I truly believe that the millennials and the Gen Zs have actually taught the Gen Xers a lot, their parents. They've been teaching their parents like how to do things. So now, like if someone called me right now and said, hey, we want to come do a home improvement sale with you, and you both need to be there, and we're going to be sitting at your kitchen table, and we're going to be there for a couple hours, I'd be like, click. We'll see you next time. Right. I'm like, no, send me the information. I'll look over it. I'll get back to you. And I mean, it's a totally different sales approach now. And it's not just with the younger ones. I think we're all we're busy.
We are. Exactly. So this is the time. I should have a drum roll or something, but the time for Heidi Ellsworth, state of the industry. Where are we at now? We've come out of the last 2 or 3 years as an industry, pretty darn fine. I mean, it's still smoking, right, for the most part.
Yeah.
What are you seeing? What are you hearing from all of your people?
Well, it's really interesting. So we do a show much like this. It's live. It's on the Tuesdays and Thursdays, second Thursday and fourth Thursday of every month. And we do a panel and we bring people in from the industry. They're called Coffee Conversations. So if you go to Roofers Coffee Shop, sign up for Coffee Conversations. We do a lot of panels on this, on trends, on state of the industry and what's happening. So last week we had McKay Daniels, who's the CEO of the NRCA, and Kyle Thomas, who's the current chairperson of the NRCA. And it was really interesting. And so I'm going to relate this also to metal, because I've been sitting in a lot of the metal meetings also, very similar. And labor, number one. And I find this incredibly interesting because labor's been an issue for 20 years.
Right.
We knew we didn't have skilled labor. We knew we had to do more, and it's just kind of been happening. Then obviously COVID, a lot of shifting amongst the jobs and where people were working and stuff. And then the material shortage. Right. And so the material shortage kind of caused everything like labor to be like, oh, it's okay because we're just trying to keep our crews, but we really don't have the materials. And so that kind of changed that dynamic. Now, and this was a big discussion last week, is the material shortage is lessening. It's actually, people are getting materials, not everything they need. That's still an issue for sure, and something state of the industry wise that is causing a lot of pain for contractors. But now they're getting materials. There's a backlog of jobs because there's been so much demand and continues to be, and now they don't have enough labor. And so labor, number one. I mean, and it's only going to get worse as, you know, we have super low unemployment rates. People aren't doing so. It kind of leads to that next trend, which I would say state of the industry that is so important, is technology. So a lot of people really believe, along with skilled labor of training like Skills USA, the pro certification through NRCA, what the MCA is doing with working with on certifications. But there's only so much with immigration so low. There's only so much space in that talent thing. So technology is going to be what comes in and that starts solving those problems. So robotics on the roof, artificial intelligence. We're just seeing, I'm seeing companies day in and day out coming out of the woodwork, realizing the construction industry, and roofing's one of them, that this has to be solved. So, right. And everybody's talking about it.
Right. So it's pretty serious, because it appears to me right now, anyway, we're finishing 2022 strong. Barring anything that, you know, again, I'd have said there wouldn't be anything that would cause anything 3 years ago, and then the world shut down, right? But so who knows? But barring those types of things, it appears to me, from all the people that I talk to on a weekly basis, 23 should be pretty strong too. So that labor thing is not going to go away. That's the biggest hindrance to growth, right?
It's
that in materials, as long as materials don't get out of control again. Supply chain.
And one of the problems is manufacturing is having a hard time finding labor too. But manufacturing has automated a lot faster. I've been in a lot of plants that are robotic, automated, so they need less people. We just haven't got there out in the field yet. But, you know, Randy, one of the things you just said too, and I think this is the other thing I've been doing on Roofers Coffee Shop, we have Roofing Economic Outlook, and we have Misha Fisher, who's the chief economist for Angie, who comes in and speaks to us every month and talks about what they're seeing in the economy. And, you know, NRCA, a lot of them have stuff too. But it's really interesting what you said is it is so strong right now, 2022. And when it comes to remodeling or re-roofing or anything that's not new construction, I mean, everyone agrees 2023 is going to be very strong, very strong. Now, new construction, I have heard from some manufacturers, due to the interest rate rise, that, and this is mostly residential, I mean, seriously, how many cranes do you count in every town, every city? So commercial is not slowing, but the residential has slowed, but I don't know. I don't think it's going to last, because there's such a demand for new housing and for housing that it's going to come back.
Inventory is incredibly low, and there's a demand. So I think you're right, and even a little slow there off of some pretty strong environment for the last 2-3 years. It's still not world ending, and I think my feeling is that the remodeling world will more than make up for that.
And you know, the other one that just came on, we talked about this last week, that's interesting, multifamily is on the rise. Building permits for multifamily is rising rapidly, and almost even now with single family homes, new construction. So that, along with all the commercial properties that are out there, I mean, you think about all the cranes in every city that you go by. So yeah, I think we're still, I mean, from all accounts, I know there's the media, I guess we're media, aren't we? But the mainstream media makes it like doomsday, and we're not seeing that.
Yeah, it's the wrong side of the media, not the right side. We're right.
We're the good ones.
You know, so as we finish up, because you've been very kind with your time, we've been 40 minutes already. We could go another 3 hours, but Wes is falling asleep. I can see him in the background there. Wake up. Anyway, give me the before we finalize here. What's the should ask question? What did we miss today? What would you like to finish up with before we kind of cat on out of here?
You know, and it's just something that you brought up earlier that I think is probably that should ask question is on one of the really big trends I always come back to this, but diversity.
Mm.
I think we're seeing great things in diversity. National Women in Roofing. We're seeing a lot going on with Latinos and Latinas, and I think that is a huge thing for everybody to be aware of. That there's just huge movements, and it's changing rapidly, and to the better. So we have a lot of that on both Roofers Coffee Shop and Metal Coffee Shop.
Okay.
But I think the other should have is I just want to say on Metal Coffee Shop, metal is growing so fast. That's the other huge trend. I mean, MRA's just come out with some research on it's grown again. Metal roofing is taking so much, and that butts right into all of the sustainability that's going on, and metal fits perfect in the sustainability push. So I would just invite everybody, come on over to Metal Coffee Shop and check it out. We're just seeing such a growth, such a huge growth.
Beautiful. Well, they need to go to Roofers Coffee Shop, Metal Coffee Shop, follow you guys everywhere, because you guys are the real deal. And if they get to MetalCon, they need to meet Heidi. They need to meet your staff. And I think it's 2:45 on Wednesday the 12th, I'm going to sit on your soundstage with you.
Yes, you are.
What?
You are.
What?
I know. And I want, if anybody out there is coming to MetalCon, and Randy, you have to attend this. On Thursday, we have a class. It's at the end of the day on networking. And so we have some people there doing just like this, networking person to person. And we actually, Karen and I wrote a book on this, and we're going to be going through that as a workshop. And then at the end, they're pushing in a bar with a lot of Dr. Pepper. And so we're going to practice our networking.
Nice. I love it. Aaron Carpenter's going to be there. You know he is. You know
It'll
he is.
Fun, Aaron.
we will have a Dr. Pepper. I'm going to have to start using a different code word now, because I'm afraid my code word is out. But a seltzer water. What do you think?
Yeah, there you go.
We'll have a seltzer water too. A soda. We'll have a soda or two. I'll go with that. Yeah. So, well, Heidi, thank you very much. I knew it would be incredible, which it was. And
Randy, thank you.
You're the best.
I love this. I love your format. And Wes, you're the best out there. And thank you, everybody who came on today. If you have any questions, you can find Heidi at Roofers Coffee Shop, always open to .com, should say. Heidi at RoofersCoffeeShop.com, and I'll help you out, whatever you need.
You got it. And if we don't talk before, we'll see you about I don't know, probably Tuesday the 11th down in good old MetalCon.
See you there, and we'll see you on the soundstage.
You got it. Love it. Look forward to it. Thank you, my friend.
So much.
Appreciate
Thanks, everybody.
You bet. Bye-bye. All right. As I promised, and as I led up to, you never go wrong with Heidi and the Roofers and the Roofers Coffee Shop and the Metal Coffee Shop people. Outstanding organization. If you don't follow them, you got to do it. You got to do it. And don't forget to stop by the booth, see them at MetalCon, and you'll enjoy that too. If you want a personal invite to meet them, let me know. I'll take you over and meet them, or let you meet them personally with me. So what do you think of that? That's extra, no charge. Anyway, so next week we have another very interesting guest, Brenda Clark Hamilton. Brenda, I met her back in late January at a sales meeting at MWI Components. Shannon Clark has been on several times. Brenda came in for a sales meeting to talk to us at lunch, us sales guys, and a bunch of the folks from administration, ops, everything else. And she's a keynote speaker. She's a space trainer, and just a very incredibly interesting lady, knows her stuff, fun to listen to. And after I sat through that, well, actually, after I tried to steal her candy, which we will talk about on the show, because I did try to steal her candy, but one of the guys said, you need to put that back. I think that's for somebody else. But anyway, I said, I got her card, we chit-chatted, had a couple phone calls, and I said, man, you got to be on the show, because you're going to love the energy and her take to workspace training. So, and just a real little side note, she's also the aunt of Shannon Clark that was just on the MWI Marketing Guru. So, not that you really cared, but now you know. So anyway, that is next week, 3 o'clock live in LinkedIn, live on Facebook, YouTube, and don't miss us. So be there, share this out, follow us, say hey, whatever the case may be. But remember, love what you do and do what you love. Live each day, love each day, own each day. And as I always like to say, make today your best day ever. Till tomorrow. Cheers, my friends.